everybody, and welcome. We are here to talk about Homeworld 3, baby.
Yeah. We have a weird timing on this because Isla's going out of town.
Going out of town.
Yeah, so she won't be around for when we shoot the podcast and stuff. And then also, it's just when you get back, then it's going to be really late. So, yeah, we wanted to get your first impressions in now. And then if you have more to say later, then we'll put it on the next week's show when I'm gone.
Yeah, so far I've put a few hours into it. Did the tutorial, did a couple of story missions, and checked out the roguelike mode a little bit. This is a good game. It's cool.
Nice.
Early days.
Worth the 20-year wait or whatever it was.
Here's the deal, because I played Homeworld 2 for sure. Memory fails me if I played 1 or not, but I think I did. And it feels like riding a bike. Like the control, like in the tutorial they're explaining the controls, and I was already doing them, Mm-hmm. And I don't know if that's because of having played Homeworld before, or it's just these are intuitive controls. It makes sense how they've done it. Because if you don't know what Homeworld is, it is a real-time strategy game, an RTS, in 3 dimensions, because you're in space. So ships can be coming in from above you, below you, the sides, diagonals, everywhere, 360 degrees in a sphere. Whatever. All the degrees they can come from. And so you have to worry about not just, moving your units from X to Y, but from Z1 to Y7 Z15, and standard fare. You've got resource collectors, you've got recon units, you've got interceptors and fighters. So if you've played RTSs, even if you haven't played Homeworld, you won't be at sea in that sort of regard. What I didn't expect is the beginning of the story is really cool.
Nice.
It's kind of weird, and this lady is hooked into the mothership, so she effectively is the ship. She can control when it jumps and how it moves and all this stuff. And she's getting into weird every time they jump, she sees weird liminal
crazy.
In between dimension stuff and I don't know, what's sort of the board from Control is talking to her.
Right.
And it's open the door, and it's okay, this story is sick. And again, only a few missions in, but already I can see how this could get very intense, very exciting, and very overwhelming. You can tactically pause,
That's good.
And so you don't, have to freak out or whatever. But it really is, from the jump, they're just oh, we're attacking you from behind too. We're attacking you from down also, right off the bat. They don't ease you into that concept kind of. So it's in Mission 2, I think I left some of my resources behind my mothership unguarded. And so I had to send a unit, dispatch a unit backwards to go and, get that. Combat gets really intense, and you can't leave yourself open. And in a regular RTS, not leaving yourself open means, leave some units back at the home base so that nobody sneaks up on you, And in this, it's just make sure nobody comes up from you from, back up diagonal that, just behind your camera. It's really a lot of fun. And the tutorial is, it's good. It kind of gives you, there's a basic tutorial and then a more advanced tutorial.
Nice.
And the advanced one's optional. They're just if you want to go, you can go. And the game sort of ramps you in with the first mission is basically a test without telling you how to do all the stuff you learned. It's do you remember how to do all the stuff we just taught you? Move the thing and do the thing. Then the second mission is hey, maybe you want to assign groups to your military so that you're not just hitting F4 and selecting all military units on the entire board. Stuff like that. But pretty immediately exhilarating. Things in space can take a while to travel from point A to point B, but they pretty quickly introduce hey, the mothership can go faster now if you want it to. So so far the ramp up of like how they're adding things is traditional but good. It's well executed. And yeah, the story has me hooked. I'm like really interested in seeing where it goes, and it's really exhilarating off the bat, and I'm super into it so far.
Do you see like tactics like, again, like with things could come from anywhere? Do you have like much bigger ships that essentially act as like cover for like a squadron flying above them that you can't see and that kind of thing?
Yeah, so you can assign, yes, and you can assign different stances to your ships, just like in a lot of RTSs. But if they're on neutral or defensive, they will specifically fly in a way that they will try to stay behind cover your own units, and that could be bigger ships or debris in space or whatever, because most of the fields of battle will have, at least so far, have had asteroids or like derelict bigger mega structures or something that you can like hide behind.
Yeah. The scale is crazy.
The scale is crazy. Like, even when you are playing and you're like, okay, yeah, my mothership is here and like all my little ships are over here, tra-la-la. But like in the intro of the game, you see the mothership coming out of the shipyard, on a planet or whatever, and like there are people standing next to where the thing is coming up, and they're just like dwarfed by this ship, and they're like big trucks that dwarf the humans, and then the mothership is just like filling the entire screen, like a part of it. This stuff is huge. And so yeah, that's really cool. But yes, different units, of course, have different move speeds and weapons capabilities, and like you can have like railgun sniper ships and like ion cannon ships and bomber frigates and all kinds of stuff. And yeah, you could have basically like a swarm of little recon guys like under your bigger ship, and like pop them out at the last second. I mean, pincer attacks are like the most basic but important thing. But like, if you have a contingent here, and up,
right.
That's really important. Enemies do tend to, another important aspect is kind of basically like sensor range, line of sight kind of. So if you don't position recon ships, which have a larger sensor range, or probes or whatever, you have spots of the field of play that are not visible to you. And if you hit spacebar by default, it'll go into a tactical view where it's like what you can see is blue, your guys are green, allies are blue, enemies are red, and it shows you basically the bubbles that you can kind of sense things in.
Got it.
And so enemies, if you don't have sensor data, will just kind of seem to appear, out of nowhere. You're like, oh crap, there's a guy up there, because you didn't have sensor data farther out than that. So that becomes important too, where it's like, okay, you've got to like set up your perimeter kind of so that you know where everything is, and then position your troops or your ships, so that you could take advantage of these different vectors. So it gets really cool. And in the roguelike mode, what's kind of interesting is, which hasn't happened yet in the story, but I imagine it maybe will, it gives you a little bit of forewarning on enemy incursion points. So like if they're about to come in from out of hyperspace, you get a little bit of a warning. So it'll be like incursion point is here. So you can send units over there like ahead of time. Yeah, let's talk about the roguelite mode, because it seems pretty cool, kind of standard fare, where it's like you get artifacts, which are little choose one of 3 upgrades kind of for your run.
Got it.
In the story or what have you for the roguelike mode is that you are a carrier. I think as you play, you can upgrade or like unlock different kind of starting ships and like whatever, and you can play this multiplayer, which I haven't had a chance to try, but that seems kind of cool. It's basically like advanced FTL, but each time you go to a new spot, and you can find more too, you get these artifacts that'll be like, increased recon sensor range, or increased sniper speed for your ion cannon, or like, this and that and stuff like that. you should probably try to tactical pause when you're reading them, because I was trying to read them during a fight and I forgot I could pause the game.
Right.
And I was like, oh shit, okay, I guess that one. Yeah, but and then once you clear an objective, you can move to the next zone. And in that, you're trying to get back to your like home sector. So you're starting out in anomalous space, like way out there.
Got it.
Trying to get home. Yeah. So I don't know. Homeworld 3 is shaping up. It seems pretty good.
Are there any kind of like dialogue, parlay, character interactions, or is the story just like okay?
Oh yeah, no. In the campaign, lots of voice acting, tons of interactions. Imogen Sajet is the woman who's like hooked into the mothership, and there's the kind of the captain commander guy who is, her main point of contact. And they're the two that are talking to each other the most, because they're kind of like the heads of the kind of this little outfit. You're the fleet commander as Imogen Sajet. And then pretty quick after your like space legs come off, or whatever the saying is, after the little like mini tutorial of the first mission, you get this weird message from this admiral and this other lady who's like, yo, hey, crazy shit's going on. This anomaly is moving forward in ways that we never thought it would. They show a video of like hyperspace. So the way hyperspace works in this is like a square or a rectangle that like a little bigger than your ship will kind of just open up in front of your ship, and the ship will fly into it and disappear as it passes through it, right? It's a really cool effect visually. And they show a video of, or like footage that they caught, like captured in universe, of those kind of windows opening up, but then just like fire or plasma like pouring out of them and just destroying this planet. Wow. And you're like, oh, that seems bad, and they were like, that shouldn't be possible. What's going on? Like all this cool, weird space stuff. And like the admiral seems kind of sketch. I don't know. And then the lady turns out to be your grandma. And you're just like, okay, like, wow. Grandma, what's going on? Like, I don't know. And like this other lady who was hooked into a ship that went missing is maybe your mom. And I'm like, okay. Like,
yeah, but I guess what I was thinking is like, are you like managing like factions and sentiment and like talking to enemies at all? Or,
not so far, but maybe. Oh yeah, sorry, I misunderstood your question. But like, the campaign has lots of voice acting and talking, and it's well done. That I don't know if you're doing that or not. From memory, diplomacy wasn't a huge deal in Homeworld, but I wouldn't be surprised if they put in something like that, or if you befriend somebody, that'd be cool.
Yeah, because like you had mentioned allies along with your unit, so I was curious.
Generally, so far in the game, allies have been just like other units in the area that you don't need to control, or in the tutorial, it's like there are a bunch of carriers there that later in the tutorial they give you control of, but until you need them, they're just allies. But yeah. But yes, there is a whole function for allies, so I imagine it will be used. Good point. Yeah. Again, early days, I didn't get a chance to look at 30 hours of it or anything. I'm maybe 2 or 3.
Yeah.
But super into it so far, and the story is way more like it gripped me out the gate. So Homeworld 3 is shaping up. I think it looks pretty cool.
Nice. Yeah. Thank you for checking it out. If we get a chance to hear more, it'd be cool too.
Yeah, if I play more, I'll let you know.
Yeah. Yeah, I know they've been working on that for a couple years now.
Yeah.
That's cool to see it finally come out.
Yeah.
So thank you everyone for checking it out.